I believe in the resurrection of the body and life everlasting. Those are the words we recite when we profess the Apostles' Creed. And we say those words so often, but whenever we celebrate the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, these words take on a whole new meaning for us. In today's first reading from the book of Revelation, John writes to us, "A great sign appeared in the sky, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars." The church places this passage before us today as we celebrate the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, her being taken up into heaven, body and soul, because Mary's Assumption is this great sign, is this signum magnum, as it's called in Latin, the great sign. It is the great sign of those words we say in the Creed, the resurrection of the body and life everlasting. One of the functions of a sign is to point in itself beyond itself. A sign points in itself beyond itself, meaning there's something immediately recognizable in a sign. So in Mary's Assumption, we immediately recognize the resurrection of the body and life everlasting, particularly for her. But a sign also points beyond itself. In other words, there's a deeper meaning to a sign. And so in Mary's Assumption, we not only recognize the resurrection of the body and life everlasting for her, who played a unique role in God's plan of salvation as the mother of his Son, we should also recognize the resurrection of the body and life everlasting for each one of us, who, like her, are united to Christ and are striving to do the will of God. Mary is the first human being to experience the gift of salvation won by the death and resurrection of Christ her Son in its fullness. Unlike all the angels and saints in heaven, Mary is there, soul and body. St. Paul writes to us in our second reading in his first letter to the Corinthians, Christ has been raised from the dead, the first fruits of those who have fallen asleep. And at harvest time, we think of first fruits as those first crops that yield the fruits of the earth. Jesus is the first to be resurrected, is what that means. And all who belong to him will then follow. Today we celebrate the fact that the Blessed Virgin Mary has already followed body and soul. And in this celebration, we look forward in hope to when we will follow. When we will follow first our soul at the end of our life, and then our body at the end of time. We are in a time when everyone seems to be looking for signs in a very accelerated way. People are looking for zodiac signs, things like horoscopes to believe what will influence their personality or maybe their luck for the day. People are looking for signs in nature and in dreams to be reminded of their deceased loved ones, maybe even to think that their deceased loved ones are still with them in that way. People are looking for signs that the seasons are about to change, especially in this dry and hot weather of the summer. We're ready to go into the cool relief of fall. Mary's Assumption, however, is this great sign, the signum magnum, because in her Assumption, God has given us a real sign. Unlike those other things, Mary's Assumption is a real sign of the resurrection of the body and life everlasting. And for us Christians, that sign should change everything. It should open our eyes to the fact that this is not all there is. It should help us to live a life of faith, a life that gives meaning and purpose and direction to our lives here on earth. And it should bring us happiness and joy. So let us faithfully cling to this great sign of Mary's Assumption and draw all the comfort we need from it to proclaim, as she did, the greatness of the Lord, because she put all her hope and trust in God, her Savior.